With profound humble gratitude and love to all venerated enlightened masters, we bow to the Almighty in soulful gratefulness for gifting us with their holy blessed presence. May all beings be awakened by their divine grace.
Part 4 of 4.
Etc.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds. Heaven Godspeed.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
By 1908, there was a vegetarian society in almost every country in Europe, as well as America, India, Australia, and spreading around the world.
Please stay with us to enjoy this illuminating Congress.
I don't need to eat meat, and industrial meat production causes great harm. We should act to treat animals humanely, protect our environment, and improve health outcomes. The Honorable Nathaniel Erskine Smith, vegan.
Today's program will be presented in English with subtitles in Arabic, Alassis, also known as Vietnamese, Chinese, English, French, German, Hindi, Hungarian, Indonesian, Korean, Mongolian, Persian, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Thai, and Ukrainian or Uranian. Parshandetia, uplifting viewers. I just said hello in Albanian. I'm Luriana. The amicable Albanians admire your dedication for spiritual upliftment and wish you all the best on your noble endeavor. Albania is a beautiful southern European country located in the western part of the Balkan Peninsula. Its gorgeous coastline stretches some 450 kilometers along the Adriatic and Ionian Seas. Covering the northern part of the nation are the forested North Albanian Alps, with national parks like Thet and many others throughout the country that reflect Albania's abundant natural wonders. Just 27 kilometers from the Adriatic coast is Albania's capital city, Tirana. This charming and vibrant city is full of lively and colorful buildings with grand boulevards, public squares, and pedestrianized streets that are a pleasure to roam. As a country of diverse spiritual faiths, Albania is well known for its religious tolerance. The historic concept of Besa is considered a moral foundation for the harmony among its people. Besa, which translates as keeping one's promise, extends to all forms of agreements, as well as hospitality and caring for those in need. Albanians celebrate through many colorful traditions of song and dance, which vary by region. One distinctive form of Albanian music that has been inscribed in UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List is isopolyphonic singing. Poetic lyrics are sung in a memorable style comprising 2, 3, or 4 voices. In December 2010, the first ever Middle East Vegetarian Congress was held at the Dubai International Exhibition Center, with the public invited to engage in an interactive exploration of the plant-based lifestyle. Organized by the Middle East Veg Group, or MEVEG, supported by the Middle East Natural and Organic Product Expo 2010 and endorsed by the Dubai Health Authority of the United Arab Emirates. The event provided 2 days of seminars, workshops, and video telecasts with experts from around the world, along with rejuvenating veg cuisine. In addition, Supreme Master Ching Hai, vegan, was specially invited to speak via live video link on being a vegan, an environmentally sustainable food choice, followed by a question and answer session with attendees, and the launch of the Arabic edition of the international best-selling book, The Birds in My Life, which was already sold out pre-launch. The Birds in My Life was printed by United Printing and Publishing, a subsidiary of Abu Dhabi Media Company, or ADMC, owned by the government of Abu Dhabi. We now invite you to join us for part 9 of the conference titled The First Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress, held in the city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates on December 6, 2010, with John Davis, vegan, former International Vegetarian Union manager, who will explain the expansion of international vegan festivals and the success of vegetarian congresses, which are now regularly held throughout the world.
Man in the picture is Sylvester Graham. If you've heard of Graham crackers, that's where the name comes from. Sylvester Graham was promoting Graham bread, healthy eating, in the 1830s in America. Along with a few others, they founded that society. It lasted about 10 years, partly the Civil War, partly the man on the top right was helping to fund it, and he died, and that was the end of that one. But the British Society carried on. 1867, German Vegetarian Society followed along. That one's still going. They organised our centenary congress 2 years ago. It's gone almost continuously. The German Society, as you can imagine, had a problem in the 1930s. In 1933, they were given an ultimatum of joining the Nazi living reform movement or close. They carried out a ballot of all their members, and they voted to close. They didn't want to be part of the Nazis. 1945, Super War was over, they reformed. They actually carried on meeting right through the 1930s and 40s in individual homes, which was potentially quite dangerous, but they kept it going and reformed. So we're starting to get vegetarian societies and organisations spreading around the world. India, which, looking around, I think might be of interest to quite a few of you from your ancestry. This is a lot earlier than some people think as well. 1889 to 1908. The red dots are vegetarian societies that we know about, mostly in the north, a couple in Mumbai. There were almost so many more that we don't have records of. And these vegetarian societies were being run by Indians for other Indians in their own language. Nothing to do with the British. All they did was borrow the British idea of having a society. Round about that time, of course, Gandhi went to London. 1888, when Gandhi was 18 or 19, he went to London as a law student. And when he left Bombay as it was then, he made a vow to his mother not to eat meat while he was in London. And he stuck to it, with great difficulty, living on bread and water mostly. And then he found a vegetarian restaurant, so he could actually eat properly at last. On the way in, he found a book called A Plea for Vegetarianism by a man called Henry Saul. All of this is in Gandhi's autobiography. He wrote it up in great detail himself. And he read this book by Henry Saul and decided that he would become a vegetarian. This is someone who, as a Hindu, had never eaten meat in his life, only apart from once, one occasion. But he never thought of himself as a vegetarian. He was just a Hindu. He didn't eat meat. So he detached it, decided that being vegetarian was important in itself, not just because of the vow he made to his mother. But we'll come back to all that as we go. 1908, International Vegetarian Union. By 1908, there was a vegetarian society in almost every country in Europe, as well as America, India, Australia, and spreading around the world. So the idea was to have a federation of all these societies and bring them together. And that was the first IVU Congress held in Dresden, in Germany. About 25 people there one day. The last Congress, about a month ago, was in Jakarta, Indonesia, and we had 5,000 people. So we've progressed a little bit. First 50 years of IVU, 1908 through to 1955, organising international vegetarian congresses. And those red dots are where all the congresses were held. They didn't get far into Europe, let alone the rest of the world, all in Northwest Europe, a whole series of them. There were attempts to go elsewhere. San Francisco offered to host one in 1915. The Europeans said, no, it's too far to go. Not if you live in California, it's not, but we had to wait a long time for that one. But eventually, it spread out. In 1958, they wanted a congress in Germany, 50 years from when it started. That all fell through. By this time, the Indians had been saying, we want a World Congress in India. And the Europeans, oh, it's too far to go again. But when 1958 fell through, the Indians said, I'll do it. And what they did was something that no one had ever seen before. Let this run through. The Congresses up till then had been 4 or 5 days in one place. The Indians held it in Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta and Madras, as they were, a week in each. 2,000 people attending lectures. They had speakers hanging over the windows so the crowds couldn't get in. Europe had never seen anything like this one. The Prime Minister of India opened it. They had a reception at the President's Palace. Absolutely huge. So this took IVU finally out of Europe to start becoming a little more worldwide. Then another big jump to America. American vegetarians have sort of come and gone, not much happening in the first half of the century. They got involved again by about 1950. And in 1972, the first ever regional congress in the unlikely place of Venezuela, in a Latin American congress. And some Americans from the USA went down for this and thought, we need some of that. They started the North American Vegetarian Society with the aim of holding a congress in 1975 in Maine. And the woman in the picture is Dixie Mayhew, who is now the president of the San Francisco Vegetarian Society. That's her in 1975, so she's a bit older now. She's still there, still president, and she is organising the next World Vegetarian Congress in San Francisco, the main organiser of it. Just a few pictures from 1975. This had a big impact. All the historians who looked at this said that it kick-started the vegetarian movement in North America. Before that, there were lots of individuals, isolated groups. What this did was to bring them together. It ran over 2 weeks, 1,500 people there in Maine. As a result, there were more vegetarian organisations. Magazines like Vegetarian Times came out of it, all launched from this congress. The guy in the top left picture is Jay Dinsham, who's American of Indian ancestry. He was the mastermind of the whole thing. founder of the American Vegan Society in 1960. But somehow it's always Indians that are running all this. Everywhere I go in the world, I meet Indians making all this difference. Another big jump. First Congress in East Asia in 1999, Shanghai in Thailand. We had a few problems in IBU during the 1980s and 90s, so this didn't have the impact that it should have had. But we used it to do a lot of rethinking about IBU, to reorganise. We wrote a new constitution, changed everything we were doing. And the next big jump forward, 2004, we went to Brazil. Hugely successful Congress. And for me, this is the real new beginning, where we started again after all the problems we had. The Congress was in that beach resort, which was quite a nice place to be. On the right is a cruelty-free fashion show. That ran for 2 nights, no leather, no fur, no silk, nothing like that. Enormously successful. This Congress again kick-started a lot of organisations in Latin America. We've now got a lot of societies starting all over the Spanish and Portuguese-speaking world as a result of this one. 2006, we were in Goa. As you can see, quite a lot of fun at that Congress too. On a beach resort in Goa. We needed to rethink how we approached Asia. That was IBU's view of the world. Divided into 6 regions, and you got the brown area, which was Asia, and down the bottom right, Australasia. The obvious problem is the city of Mumbai has a bigger population than Australia and New Zealand combined. So it's a bit of an imbalance. We needed to change it around a bit. So we did that. You've now got India and West Asia, and on the right is Asia Pacific, which makes a bit more sense to us. And we brought in 2 new regional coordinators, Shankar Narayan, who is sitting over there, Shankar became regional coordinator for India and Southwest Asia, which includes the Middle East. And on the right is Susianto Seng from Indonesia, who is regional coordinator for Asia Pacific. And they've both done an amazing job over the last 4 years, getting all sorts of things going, organised, as you'll see in a minute. Just to make sure Asia was fully represented, this is George Jacobs. He doesn't look very Asian, but he's actually from Singapore and he lived in China for many years. He's now the chairman of the IBU Council. So Asia is now much more strongly represented. Before this, it was really Europe and North America. So we rebalanced it. The Congress is taking on Taiwan, 2007. This was the Asian Vegetarian Congress. 7,500 people turned up. As you can see, most of them dressed exactly the same. They're all members of the same Buddhist temple. But there were quite a few others as well. 2008, we had the Centenary Congress in Germany. Went back to Dresden where it started. Some congresses are very organised, very structured. Others are more laid back, working out as we go along. The Germans have their own way of doing things. 4 years in advance of this, I was given a CD, and on that CD was a programme in great detail, everything we were going to do every day, including Tuesday afternoon, 2:30, city tour in Dresden, and here's a picture of the bus. And it happened exactly as they said 4 years later. Everything precisely to plan. International vegan festivals, they started in the 1980s. IBU has become increasingly involved in supporting and working with them, and particularly encouraging them to move around the world instead of being in Europe again. This was the 11th International Vegan Festival in India. I was talking to someone earlier about this. Vegans in India is not the most obvious thing you think of. But in the last 4 years, we've seen a huge change. And to me, what's happening a lot of young people in India are turning away from their religion, becoming more westernized. Especially in places like Bangalore, they're surrounded by computer companies, surrounded by McDonald's and KFC. Trying to persuade them to go back to their traditional way of life isn't really having much impact. What we have found is talking about Western style vegan to these highly westernized Indians does actually get through. And we've seen an enormous increase in the number of vegans in India. Relative to the total number of vegetarians, it's still tiny, but it's happening. In Brazil, 2009, Marley Winkler, our regional coordinator of Latin America, organised this one. And again, a highly successful vegan festival. So we're spreading them out again around the world instead of just Europe, particularly trying to move towards developing countries. Africa. I've just spent the last 4 days in Nairobi, Kenya. Came back last night. We're trying to get a congress going there. Background to it. This is 2007, the first ever vegetarian congress in Africa. It took IDU 99 years to get to having a congress in Africa. Mainly thanks to the guy just at the left with his hand up, Emmanuel Ayo, who I just met for the first time this week in Nairobi. And he's done a great job for us. He's now the regional coordinator for Africa. This one was in Lagos in Nigeria, where he lives. Then last year, 2009, we had another one. This is in Accra, in Ghana, the second West African Congress. As you can see, they saved a bit of money on booking a hall by holding it in a local park. Much easier that way. Top left, all of these African congresses, they would go up the march with the banners. They march down to the Ministry of Health. Rather than persuading the minister to come here as you did today, they go down there. They also have a homeless feeding program. We did this in Nairobi last week. I went out with a group from Hare Krishnas, huge vats of food, go out to the slums and we fed 100 people on last Thursday. And they do this as a part of the Congress. No one else does this.
Go ahead and make war. Only others, women and children die, are maimed or suffer. You and yours will never have such disasters because the taxpayers fund your army to protect you.
Honorable viewers, we appreciate your presence today for the first Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress on Words of Wisdom. Please join us tomorrow for part 10 of this inspiring conference. Coming up next is the endangered indigenous communities of the world, right after noteworthy news. May our world soon become a vegan paradise filled with love and compassion for all beings.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds, hell not reach.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Chương trình của chúng tôi cung ứng nhiều ngôn ngữ. Xin xem suprememastertv.com/schedule và suprememastertv.com/WOW.